Pope Innocent III heard the news, he had another high holy shit fit and wrote a strongly worded letter that threatened to excommunicate anyone that participated in attacking fellow Christians, even if they were those weird Orthodox Christians. But somehow, the letter got misplaced.
Really? The Pope didn't get angry? Well, color me surprised.
In June of 1203, the Crusaders, the Venetians, and Alexios IV arrived at Constantinople, but the massive iron chain that was stretched across the Bosphorus Strait prevented their ships from entering the Golden Horn and sailing along the city's walls to show off Alexios IV and have him welcomed back.
Damn! That chain is thicker than Little John's fat gold necklace.
Yeah, it's giving him, well, blow me.
Oh, Popeye.
So the Crusaders and Venetians sailed over to the Tower of Galata across the Bosphorus, which held the other end of the chain, and attacked and routed the Byzantine mercenaries defending it. With the Tower of Galata now under their control, the Crusaders lowered the chain and opened the waterway.
Hey, Captain, where's Sea Dog? I ain't seen him around for a while.
Yeah, sorry, Carlisle. I ate him last week. A man can't live on a cereal alone.
With the Golden Horn now open to them, the Venetian and Crusader fleet of ships entered Constantinople's waters and paraded up and down along the city's walls, with Alexios IV standing high atop the tallest ship to show the Byzantine people that their rightful heir had indeed returned.
Why is all the people up there booing?
They's not booing me. They's oohing me. And they love me.
Much to the Crusaders' surprise, the Byzantines began to line the top of the city's walls, but instead of praising and cheering Alexios IV as their savior, they jeered and cursed him, while hanging moons and waving their flaccid penises, and flung hunks of dog poop and rotten fruit at him.
Get me more duty bombs! I'm running low!
Hurry up and make more duty, you dumb dog.
Unbeknownst to the Crusaders, the Byzantine people didn't give a crap about hereditary rights, the way the Europeans did, and gladly welcomed whoever was the biggest scumbag as their emperor, no matter the means or unsavory deeds that were done to achieve the position.
Don't come up my nose. How will I smell?
Terrible! Just like you always do.
The Crusaders just wanted the money that Alexios IV had promised them. So if the Byzantines wouldn't accept him as their emperor, then the Crusaders would force them to, and began to attack the northern land walls of the city, while the Venetians attacked the harbor walls simultaneously.
Instead of doing all this, why don't we just get him to write a check?
The tough Varangian guards, Viking mercenaries employed by the Byzantines, were able to repel the Crusaders' attack, but the Venetians were having some success and captured 20 towers along the seawall. When the Varangians left to engage the Venetians, it allowed the Crusaders to break through the city's gates and enter Constantinople.
Look, he's all running away. They must have smelled you.
I stink. Your armpits smell like hot garbage.
The Byzantines were lucky to be able to rally and push the Crusaders and Venetians back. But as they fled, they set massive fires to cover their retreat. The fires got out of control and almost burned down the entire northern part of the city, making like 200,000 Byzantine citizens suddenly homeless.
Well, there goes my whole porno video collection.
Have you been eating chalupas again, Charmander?
Oops.
The next day, Emperor Alexios III led about 9,000 Byzantine troops outside the city to face the Crusaders head-on and give them what for. But upon seeing the jacked-up, deranged-looking Latin knights forming up to make a charge, Alexios' guts began to bubble, and he ordered his troops to retreat.
Oh, those guys look pretty scary. Let's go home.
So I put on all this armor for nothing?
That night, Alexios III went to the treasury and grabbed all the gold and jewels he could carry. Then he took his favorite daughter and one of his whores that had really big titties and slipped out of Constantinople under the cover of darkness to begin a new incognito life somewhere else.
I'm moving it to an IRA account. Yeah, that's it.
A very prudent, fiscally responsible investment, sire.
With no emperor to lead them any longer, and thousands of angry crusaders pounding on the walls, the city's leaders decided to give the Crusaders what they wanted in hopes that they would just leave, and reinstated blind old Isaac II as emperor and his son Alexios IV as his co-emperor.
I did it, Pops. Now we're back in business.
What business? Monkey business? Where am I?
The Latins then moved their camp inside the city's walls and, having held up their end of the deal, expected to get paid and be on their way. But thanks to years and years of fiscal mismanagement and shitty emperors with expensive tastes, the Byzantine treasury was practically wiped out.
Stay alive, stay alive. Stay alive.
Alexios IV was in a real pickle now, so he began to confiscate sacred religious icons, invaluable ancient silver relics, and even the palace silverware, and had it all melted down and made into silver marks to help pay off the debt he owed the Crusaders. In spite of all this, he was still short.
I found the silver dildo in the Emperor's bedroom. Should we melt it down?
Wait, what? Oh, that's not mine.
Then you won't care that we shoved that silver schlong in the smelter.
The Greeks hated Alexios IV with a passion now, and saw him as little more than a weak Latin lackey that made a deal with the devil. To make matters worse, the simmering hatred between the Latins and the Greeks was starting to boil over, and disputes increased daily until it erupted in a full-on riot.
You immigrant Latin bastards are driving my property values down.
Hey, don't blame us. It's the foreclosures and the short sales that decreases the value of your home.
By December of 1203, the Greeks were fed up with Alexios IV, and the Crusaders camped in their city. So a usurper named Alexius Ducas, known as Mortzephlus for his extremely bushy eyebrows, kidnapped Alexios IV and his dad, locked them up in jail, and proclaimed himself as Emperor Alexios V.
Can you save us? Please promise that you will help us.
Please help us.
I can't promise that, but I do promise to help myself to all that gold that's in the royal treasury.
Meet the new boss, the same as the old boss. We're so fucked.
The Byzantines then began rioting in earnest and killed any Latins they got their hands on. The Latins who survived then fled to the Crusaders' camp and joined their ranks. The situation was deteriorating quickly for the Crusaders, so they exited the city for their own safety, but not before lighting another big fire which caused widespread damage.
Some arsonists start fires for revenge or personal gain. Me, I just like burning shit.
Morts vowed to protect the Greeks and kill the Crusaders camped outside the city's walls. To ensure the safety of the city, he had all the gates blocked up with huge piles of debris and ordered builders to increase the height of the seawall by 2 stories to prevent the Venetian ships from attacking again.
I want you to make the towers so high, birds crash into them.
We can't do that. It violates EPA codes and will piss off the Audubon Society.
Morts then tried to destroy the Venetian fleet by sending out fire ships, literally ships on fire, to crash into them. The Venetians acted quickly and fought off the Byzantine archer boats, then grappled the fire ships and safely steered them out to sea to burn away with 0 damage to their ships.
Damn it! That kid keep making pee-pee on my Greek fire!
Here, have another big gulp and keep that pee-pee flowing.
In January 1204, Morts ordered an ambush on a Crusader foraging party. Although greatly outnumbered, the Crusaders fought off the Greeks with their customary bravado, causing the Byzantines to rout so quickly that they left their imperial standard and holy icon behind to be captured by the Latins.
Oi! What you got? Come back! You drop your imperial standard.
Don't tell them. Finders keepers, losers weepers.
Morts proclaimed the attack a decisive victory for the Greeks. But when reporters asked about the standard and icon, he lied and said they were out for a cleaning. The Crusaders caught wind of his bullshit, so they mounted the standard and icon on the tallest ship they had and paraded it back and forth the city's seawall for all to see.
Hey! You want your imperial standard back? I wipe my ass with it.
Morts looked pretty stupid now, so to prevent anyone from trying to oust him and reinstate Alexios IV and his dad as emperors, he paid off some thugs and sent them to the jail where Alexios IV was being held and had him strangled. 2 days later, Isaac II was beaten up and died of old age, thus removing any interior threat to Morts' emperorhood.
Is he dead yet? I gotta pick my kids up from school. Don't rush me. When I kill somebody, I kill them good.
But the Crusader Venetian threat was still real and very much here. And after hearing the news of Alexios IV's death, they knew they wouldn't be getting paid anytime soon. The Latins then decided that the only way they would get their money was to attack the Queen of Cities and take it, and all of its great riches, for themselves.
The Byzantines is a cancer, and we're gonna be what's the cure for cancer?
After waiting out the dreary winter encamped across the Bosphorus, the Crusaders and Venetians gathered their arms on April 9th, 1204, and sailed across the strait to the sea walls, with horns blaring, drums drumming, and hooters hooting, as they began their assault on the jewel of Byzantium. The Venetian ships sailed alongside the harbor walls, looking for a soft spot to attack. Although the Venetians raised the boarding platforms to reach the increased height of the wall's towers, a stiff south wind prevented them from getting in close enough to the shoreline to allow the Venetians to use them.
We about the 2 inches too short.
That's what she said. Ow!
What was it here?
Meanwhile, the Crusaders were having even less success trying to bust through the city's gates, and were hampered by the Byzantine soldiers standing above them on the walls, shooting arrows, chucking spears, dumping Greek fire, and hawking loogies down upon them in an endless barrage.
Why do ducks fly upside down over Venice?
'Cause there ain't nothing worth shitting on in Venice.
After repeated attempts to attack the towers or break through the gates failed, and with their losses mounting, the Crusaders and the Venetians decided to call off their attack and retreat to the safety of their camp across the Bosphorus.
Row, the boat gently down the stream.
To add insult to injury, the Byzantines lined the harbor walls, hanging moons and waving their dicks at the Latins as they jeered them during their retreat. Self-proclaimed Emperor Moritz championed it as a great victory for Byzantium and held a huge party to celebrate the win and how awesome he was at this emperoring stuff.
You Crusaders are so stupid! You wet me for pooping!
and you smell like poop too.
The Crusaders were seriously bummed by their failure to gain entry into the city. But the Doge, who was becoming the de facto leader of this crusade, was having none of that. So he held a pizza party to boost the Crusaders' morale and told everyone gathered there that he had come up with a brilliant plan to attack the Greeks and kick their asses.
Is you crying? There's no crying in the Crusade.
The Doge's plan was to lash 2 of their biggest ships together, build a huge double-wide boarding platform that stretched across them and was covered in a screen of wet vines and animal hides to protect them from Greek fire, and then ram that fucker right into Constantinople's seawall.
I'm the captain, and I say we go this way.
I'm the captain, and I said that we go that way!
Well now, this is getting pretty crazy, right? Thousands of Christian Crusaders casting aside their original plans to attack the infidels in order to reclaim Jerusalem, to attack fellow Christians to pay off a debt instead? Honestly, what could possibly go wrong? I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Holy Crap, the Fourth Crusade. Be sure to check out part 3 to see how this wacky episode of history pans out. All I can tell you is, hang on to your curious